the Edmonton Oilers are currently on a 14-game winning streak. This is the longest winning streak in franchise history, and considering how historic the Edmonton Oilers are, it is quite impressive that the 22-23 Edmonton Oilers hold that record. This is also the longest winning streak ever for a Canadian franchise, and think about all the great Canadian teams that have ever existed. And let's take a look at just where this 14-game winning streak sits amongst the all-time winning streaks in the National Hockey League. So one thing I think is very particular about this winning streak is that it's happening within one season. Last season and this season, if you count those two seasons together, the Boston Bruins also put together a 14-game winning streak. They had a winning streak that started on March 30th and went through till October 26th, 2023. So that spanned over two seasons. And for the sake of this record, I think it should exist within one season. That's just me, but when I think of a winning streak, I think of a winning streak within a season, not spanning over a couple seasons. So if you look at the all-time record, there are currently 5 teams that have ever had 14-game winning streaks. Two of those winning streaks spanned over two seasons. The Florida Panthers in 2021 and then 21-22, they had a 14-game winning streak that went over two seasons. And like I just mentioned the Boston Bruins. The ones that I think actually count as winning streaks, the Washington Capitals, they had a 14-game winning streak in 09-10, and the Boston Bruins of 1929-1930 also had a 14-game winning streak. So the Edmonton Oilers are currently tied with those two teams. The teams ahead of them on the winning streak chart, the Pittsburgh Penguins, the Buffalo Sabres, the New York Islanders have all had 15-game winning streaks. The Buffalo Sabres winning streak, however, happened over the course of two seasons, the 05-06 season, then the 06-07 season. They had a 15-game winning streak over those two seasons. So I'm not really counting that. I think ahead of the Edmonton Oilers right now on the all-time season win streak record is the Pittsburgh Penguins and New York Islanders. And then when we get to the very top, the Columbus Blue Jackets have a 16-game winning streak that happened in 16-17. And then the Pittsburgh Penguins, who own the record in 92-93, went on a 17-game winning streak. Let's get into the weeds a little about what exact record I'm talking about, because for a long time, the NHL had ties, and there are different categories for those winning streaks. If you take the Philadelphia Flyers and their 79-80 season, they had a 35-game undefeated streak. So in that streak, they were never defeated, meaning they had wins and ties. They had 25 wins, 10 ties in their 35-game undefeated streak. And I don't consider that a winning streak. I think a tie is different from a win, and that is why they are clearly classified in different categories. What we're looking at now is the Edmonton Oilers, in my mind, in how I'm looking at this winning streak, are 3 wins away from tying the all-time record for the longest winning streak in National Hockey League history. They are now 4 wins away from beating it. That number of 17 that the Penguins set in 92-93 to me is the record. 18 would beat the record. So how can the Oilers get there? Because we are seriously at a point right now where the Edmonton Oilers could beat this record. Next up, as of this recording, they have the Blackhawks, then the Predators, and then it gets tricky because they go on their bye week for the All-Star week, and they're off for 5 days plus the All-Star weekend. So they do not play again for a week and a bit when they face the Vegas Golden Knights on February 6th. So the way I would look at these games, 15, the Blackhawks. You got to get that one. That's got to be the free square. That's got to be the game. Right now, we should be penciling in Edmonton Oilers 15-game winning streak. Lock it in. So I'm going to say that is a 90% chance they get that W when Thursday against the Blackhawks. Now let's get to 16. one off of tying the record, the Nashville Predators. It is a home game in Edmonton, home game, yeah, against Edmonton. They got great goaltending, Nashville does, so you never know when UC Saros could steal a game. But if you look at Nashville as a team, this is a team that has struggled largely throughout this season. I'm going to check where they sit in the standings so far. Let's pull up the NHL standings. NHL.com is always slow. The Nashville Predators currently sit fourth in the Central Division. In the wild card race, they are in the second wild card spot. In their last 2 games, they are on a 2-game losing streak as of this recording. They're 5-5 in their last 10. This is a team Edmonton will be favored against. They're definitely not the underdogs in this situation. I don't know. There aren't many teams in the NHL right now they would be the underdogs against. I think this will be a tough one because of everything that's on the line. You may get a little sleepy performance to start because everybody's looking towards the vacation. Whenever these games come up, just before a long break, it's always iffy. You never know what kind of performance you're going to get right away out of your team. But I think Edmonton gets this one for sure. I think for sure Edmonton gets this. I'm going to pencil them in at a 75% chance they win this game. That puts them at 15 Chicago, 16 Nashville. Now we take the week break. Everybody goes, all the stars, the McDavid and Draisaitl, they go have fun in Toronto for the All-Star weekend. Everybody else goes to Cancun and on vacation. They come back. February 6th. This is the big kahuna game we did. They have their win number 15. They have win number 16 against Nashville. Now, the Vegas Golden Knights, they're on the road. The Edmonton Oilers are on the road in Vegas. This is win number 17 to tie the record. Can they knock off the defending Stanley Cup champions? If my money is on this, I think the streak might end there on that Tuesday night in Vegas. The odds are stacked against them. You're coming off a break. Your 2 stars had to go do all the media in Toronto. Vegas is pretty rested. They're not sending as many players. So McDavid, who knows how he's feeling after Toronto. He's got a lot of family here. It's going to be tough. Vegas is going to be out for blood. They're the champs. You're the streak. I'm going to say there's a 37% chance they win this game, the Edmonton Oilers. It's going to be tough. If I'm projecting where this streak comes to an end, it's got to be Tuesday in Vegas. But if they get through this game, if they get win number 17 in Vegas on Tuesday, February 6th, the streak could last a whole lot longer because the next Friday, that coming Friday after that game, they play the Anaheim Ducks. That's got to be another free square. You get the record in Anaheim. Boom. 18 wins in a row. Then Saturday, you play your latest rival, really. Like, great rivalry right now between the Oilers and the Kings, who they've knocked out the last 2 playoffs in the first round. The Edmonton Oilers have knocked out the Kings. That's the team you've owned. So you got to pick up that victory back-to-back. Ducks, Kings is back-to-back Friday, Saturday. You got to get that W. That's win number, I guess that'd be 17, 18. That's win number 19. And then you go to Detroit. You host them. Detroit's been great this year, but you could eke out a win against a feisty team. Who knows? I think if I'm placing my money anywhere, the streak ends in Vegas. But if they get past that game, this might hit 20. That's what I'm looking at. If the question of this video is, when does the streak end? I think it ends after All-Star in Vegas against the defending champs. Who knows? Who knows if I'm wrong? Maybe it ends tomorrow against the Blackhawks. The Blackhawks have some random victories this year. But that's where I'm thinking. Let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think they push it past Vegas? Do you think they push it past Anaheim, LA, Detroit, and then they have St. Louis coming up? The schedule is on the screen. Let me know when you think this winning streak comes to an end.